Welcome to the Mental Health Militia News, where I am your host, Chabol, here with his co-host, Mr. Munster. Thank you, Mr. Munster. Today in the news, we have a doozy. But before we get into that, I must mention a disclaimer. Yes, a news station that comes with a warning. Why? Because we care that the information we provide you might be fire, but it turns out that it is me and Mr. Munster gathering it, producing it, writing it, and delivering it, so it could blow up in your face just like this gentleman right here. So please use this for educational purposes only. Moving on from the fire to yes, as we are sitting in the great media war still of 2021, we see many news platforms still pushing the same BS narratives, but they can't go back on what they have been trying to sell you because they are hoping you are a sheep and will not see what is going on around you, in front of you, or behind you, and hope you will only listen to them and not turn off your TV. Moving on from the great media war of 2021 to yes, as we're starting to understand who Chabol is, he can still get himself stuck in a rabbit hole and not want to produce the news or produce the news late or even cheat on making the news. But Chabol will still put out the news because maybe he runs across a story that you aren't already getting. Moving on from the news to yes, as we're in the opening quote, you can make them feel you can't make them see the light, but you can make them feel the heat. Just a picture of Ronald Reagan. I'm not sure, but moving on to the opening story. To yes, by 17, post number 3880. In my Yoda voice,
you have come far, Anons. You are ready. Prepare them for the storm. Wow.
Moving on, I don't really watch Star Wars, so I was trying my best. Moving on from the news to the sick world news with your MHM news. To yes, as this was happening, as the riots in Ottawa keep going and the police keep pushing the poor Canadian people, they put out propaganda on their Instagram. As this was happening, a bicycle was thrown at the feet of one of the horses in attempting to injure it. One of the persons was arrested for intentionally harming a police service animal. But as we see here in this photograph, that this person was not holding a bicycle, but yet in a wheelchair. And we see here that somebody else noticed that it was a freaking wheelchair of a disabled old lady you must have trampled under your horses. You lying pieces of dried human waste. Yes, what we see here, that is exactly how propaganda works, and these people are hoping you buy anything you put in front of them. Moving on from the news to yes, welcome to America, bitches, with your MHM news. To as we see in 2020, the U.S. to become a net energy exporter in 2020 for the first time in nearly 70 years, Energy Department says. Moving on to today, U.S. set to become net importer of oil. So we are now seeing how oil is going to go up to $7.50 a gallon. Moving on from the news to yes, how can I not help you with the tech support in your MHM news? To White House accuses Russia of being behind recent cyber attacks of Ukrainians. Defense Ministry banks. Yes, we see here that it is easily able to push out propaganda and just say whatever you want to say, and hopefully people will buy the narrative. But because news is so rapid and so widespread, we can find out that Russia Beyond put out CIA developed a code to frame Kaspersky Lab, WikiLeaks reports. In a major disgrace for the CIA, a new report by WikiLeaks claims that the American spy agency utilizes a malware that can mask itself and impersonate the Russian cybersecurity company. Yes, we see here that these people are able to mask themselves as another company, to hack one company, to destroy what they need to destroy. Moving on from the news to, yes, the funny money section of the MHM News. Mr. Munson thinks that Bitcoin ain't so funny no more since it can be used as currency, and he's feeling it. He's feeling the Bitcoin. Moving on from the news to, yes, how we know that Russia is truly in control of Ukraine. As we see here, Ukraine legalizes Bitcoin. The new law is an additional opportunity for businesses to develop in our country. Foreign and Ukrainian crypto companies will be able to operate legally, and Ukrainians will have convenient and secure access to the global market for vital assets. Yes, we see here that as there is supposed war and surrounding of Ukraine around their borders, they are legalizing the crypto tender. Moving on from the news to, yes, the gender wars section of your MHM News. Mr. Munson said it is pretty funny. Moving on to, yes, transgender swimmer Leah Thomas sets pool record in 500-yard freestyle win at Ivy League Championship. Yes, we see here that the male swimmer who could not compete with the other male swimmers jumped in the pool with a bunch of ladies and was able to thrust that testosterone straight to the gold. So because they cannot take the heat of losing, they decided to give the heat to the women so they can take the heat to losing, because they wouldn't take the heat of the kitchen. That's wrong, but still funny. Moving on from the news to, yes, the sex crime section here of your MHM News. If these women was committing sexual crimes on me, call me sexually crimed. No, I don't know, because in the sexual crime section of MHM News, it's never anything good, so don't sex crime me. Moving on to, yes, Prince Andrew could still be quizzed by FBI in Epstein and Maxwell's child sex abuse probes. Prince Andrew agreed to a $12 million settlement or pound with Virginia Giuffre to avoid a civil sex abuse trial in the U.S. He is still understood to be a person of interest to federal investigators. Yes, we see here that if the FBI is going to investigate this man, then they botched it right there. But because it is hopefully run by the White Hats, that this man will be able to be arrested and have his day at Gitmo. Moving on from the news to, yes, Facebook exec fired after allegedly caught in sex child sting. A high-level Facebook staffer was allegedly caught soliciting a minor for sex during an amateur undercover sting operation in Columbus, Ohio. The video of the encounter was posted to the YouTube channel Predators Catchers Indianapolis on February 16th. Yes, what we see here is that these people in these major platforms, major networks, seem to be mostly pedophiles and sexual abusers. Moving on from the news to, yes, mass atrocity crimes preventing future outrages here with your MHM News. To, a Clinton campaign alum tried to suppress the story of a Facebook colleague sexting a 13-year-old child. Yes, we see here that these people are all linked together, like I was previously saying, and seem to want to help out one another to try to suppress their stories and not let the population know that they are complete weirdos. Moving on from the news to, yes, you've reached the Rona section of your MHM News. To, yes, Christopher Cole put out in an undercover by the Project Veritas said that Biden wants to inoculate as many people as possible As we see, the meaning of inoculate means is to implant in a person, animal, or plant to produce a disease for a study or to stimulate disease resistance. More generally, inoculate means implant a microorganism. So, are they putting HIV into people that is not being able to be shown up on any test, and people will die off slowly not knowing what is wrong with them? I am unsure, but pretty positive that's what could be happening. Moving on from the news to yes, put out by Horowitz, the lies about the vacation efficacy are exposed. So Scotland stops publishing data. So we see here that because the data is hurting their efficiency, that we see them not putting it out anymore because people are no longer probably showing up for their booster. Moving on from the news to yes, fraud, scams, and lies could target you, so protect yourself, people. If you see it going on and coming for you, you be out. But if you see it happening to a neighbor and you can help and you stand together and you fight. Moving on from the news to yes, dots connecting quickly, put out by Last Refuge. Bruce Orr worked with Andrew Wiseman while Niall Orr worked with Fusion GPS in 2015. Yes, we see here that people are easily connecting Simpson, Steele, Clinton, Orr together as these people's organization are slowly coming down and crumbling around them. Moving on from the news to yes, if you've made it this far, you've made it to the veteran section of your MHM news. Moving on to, yes, as we see here, almost in a 3-year delta, when you can't make them see the light, you make them feel the heat. I guess Ronald Reagan did say that. So we see here that people are not seeing the light, so they are seeing the heat like the Canadians in the north. Moving on from the news to yes, in almost another 3-year delta, we are the news now, 2832. Two fingers. Moving on from the news to yes, in another almost 2-year delta, 3878. The puzzle is coming together. Moving on to yes, in another post 1481. Kashyap Patel, remember the name. Yes, as we see here that this man feels he knows dates about when the Durham Bulldog investigation is going to come out, and he said by the end of summer, so hopefully we all rock out together. Moving on from the news to oh gosh, if you made it this far, that is all for now from the Mental Health Militia News. Mr. Munster and Chabol, have a good one. God bless you and yours. Holla Chabol. Two fingers. Love y'all. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm going to go watch the movie Constantine now, because I think that stuff is real. Moving on. Oh, we already did that. Pop this movie in real quick. Yay.